an ordinance of Henry VII, 1469. It is ordained that no chimneys of timber be suffered, nay thatched houses within the city, but that the owners do them away for evermore, or make them newly of brick or stone, and tile the thatched houses by the said day in pain of losing 6s. 8d. The jail cells under the Guildhall were in such a terrible state that they were considered untenable. The house of the Grey Friars not being deemed commodious enough for the use of our city felons, it gave place to that substantial and elegant structure now called the city jail, which is found to add so seriously to the burden of the inhabitants. Not a vestige of the old building now remains. It was taken down in 1823. The new city jail has a stone front facing Union Street, and the church of the Friary stood without the walls of the city, and several men of rank were interred in it. At the summer assizes in 1822, the grand jury presented at the city jail was inadequate for its intended purposes, and in consequence it was pulled down, and the present modern and commodious structure erected on its site. Various bones of friars and others were disinterred in digging the foundations of the new edifice. A treadmill has been put up here to dissipate the ennui of confinement. Soon after entering Friar Street, an ancient street called Leech Street, styled by Habington the Street of Death, is passed on the left hand. Perhaps the surgeons formerly lived in this street, practitioners of the healing art being in old times called leeches. A little further on the right are Wyatt's almshouses. In 1696, Edward Wyatt, who was Mayor of Worcester, founded what was called Wyatt's Hospital, where 6 poor men could live, and they received 3s. a week and half a ton of coal a year. In this part of the city are some very old houses, from whose present appearance some idea may be formed of what Worcester formerly was. A large timber-ribbed house adjoins the wall of the new city jail, with an arched gateway in the centre, about which is some curious carving, while in the second story windows extend the whole front of the house. Other smaller houses of the same character occur in this street, and in the distance a large house rises, each successive story overhanging the lower, so that when the street consisted entirely of such houses, the tops of the opposite ones almost met. In 1820, the Cross Keys Inn went up for sale. It was in the occupation of a Mr. George Wormington. I was surprised to see how big it was. There was a front parlour, a kitchen, a back parlour, 4 bedchambers, a brewhouse, a large yard and garden, front cellar, small back cellar with a passage entrance to the whole, together with the beneficial interest in the lease of a small part of the premises and the whole of the adjoining house, in the occupation of Mr. Francis Lowton. The Plumber's Arms comes under the hammer. Mr. Lucy has an order of execution, and the bailiffs are moving in. It's 1841, and Mr. Henry Lane is selling up his business. 1842, and Mr. Bishop is leaving his business at the Fish public house. 1843, Mr. Thomas George at the Old Oak, FRIAR Street, declines the public business.